what's up, everybody? You are watching On the Town, and I am your host, Tanya Cooper. And here with me tonight, I have my co-host, Richard Adamson. How
Peace and blessings.
are you
I'm
the second?
excited about this show. One
Yes,
of
me
my
too.
favorites is here.
Yeah, so tonight's guest is a comedian, actor, writer, and he's known for let me see my screen. Got the Hookup, which came out
Yep.
in 1998, and many other appearances.
Yeah,
So
baby.
that's just being nice. We're just being modest here. He has appeared on HBO, Russell Simmons comedy specials, Fox Network, you name it, Def Jam, primetime specials, BET, you name it, he's been on it. Just to name a few. And he also has won Producer's Choice Award, appearing on some of the greatest people that you will ever imagine,
Yep.
including the GOAT himself, Richard Pryor, Harry Belafonte. I mean, we could go on forever. So please just welcome Tommy Chunn. What's up?
Hey,
Woo!
doing?
Yes, yes.
How
Howdy.
are you?
Oh, good morning.
Good, brother.
Afternoon.
I know. Where are you at?
I know. It's afternoon here. I'm in Charlotte, actually.
Oh, you're in Charlotte, my
Yeah,
brother's
I'm in
place. All
Charlotte.
right.
Originally from Detroit, Michigan.
Okay.
Detroit in the house.
Yeah, Detroit in the house. What up, though? What
Yeah.
up, though?
That's what they say.
That's
What up, though?
in Chicago. They say, "What up, Joe?"
What up,
Really?
Joe?
Yeah, I said, "What up, Joe?" to this dude. He was from Chicago. He said, "What up, Joe?" I thought he was clowning me,
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
just saying, "What up, Joe?" Because I said, "What up, Joe?" But that's
Yeah.
actually what they say in Chicago. They say, "What up, Joe?"
What up, Joe?
Wow. I
That's
never knew that. I knew about What Up, though. I knew about Detroit, because I know
Yeah.
a few brothers from Detroit.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Detroit. Yeah, a lot of people. This isn't like the third person we interviewed from Detroit that's like known. What's going
I
on?
think so.
There's something in the water. Well, it's not that water.
Detroit, baby. Detroit.
He said something in the water. It is
Detroit
like
produces
Flint.
legends.
Something extra plus in that water.
Yeah.
Something. Y'all just knock out like known people, like talented. So many talent. Tommy, you hit the button. Hit the button. There you go. The light.
Yeah.
Um.
All right, I got a call. Was coming through. I had.
Oh, right. And that's thank you for reminding me to mute
Yeah.
my thing so that won't happen to me again.
Yeah.
That happened one time. Sorry.
Well, speaking of Detroit, my favorite boxer's from Detroit, Thomas
one?
Hearns.
Oh,
Oh,
Hearn.
Turns.
Yes.
Turns. He knows me.
Okay.
You know, I met him in Detroit, but I got so to know him in LA. He used to come to a lot of comedy shows in LA.
Oh, okay.
LA. But yeah, I performed with everybody, man, from back in the day, from Martin Lawrence. I've worked with Dave Chappelle before. I've worked with Jamie Foxx. I mean, I've worked with Bernie Mac. I've worked with, name them. Kevin Hart, Cat Williams. They don't talk to me now. I ain't famous enough. I don't know. They left me behind. But I've worked with just about everybody you can name. We can go on. Actually, Richard Pryor. Richard Pryor saw me perform at the Comedy Store. I was showcasing for Mitzi Shore.
Mhm.
That's
Okay.
Comedy Store's mother.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And so Richard Pryor gave me a standing ovation out of his wheelchair when he was
Wow.
up diseased out. But I found out from his ex-wife that he followed my career and he really enjoyed me. So I never got to see Richard, but he got to see me.
Wow.
Wow.
That's
Wow.
amazing. That's
That's an
amazing.
amazing accomplishment.
Absolutely. How did you get into stand-up comedy?
I got into comedy because the way I grew up in Detroit, just my mother is dysfunctional and she's abusive and crazy, and she was a school teacher.
Okay.
And so, I remember I used to go to drive my mother to work. We used to smoke weed on the way to work.
Mm-hmm.
That must be a fun job.
My mother is so negative. I mean, I remember I recently, a couple years ago, I took her to Ann Arbor, Michigan to get a blood transfusion,
Mhm.
and the doctor told her blood type was B negative, and she said, "I thought it was B positive all these years." I said, "Ma, it was. You changed it.
Oh, dang.
You B negative so much you changed your own blood type."
Oh, no.
Listen, my mother's psychiatrist committed suicide in a session with her.
What? Oh my gosh, that's about as depressing as it gets.
I'm telling you,
In
you're
your own bag.
in a joke, but I'm not. He jumped out the window like the dude on The Exorcist.
No. Oh my God, Tommy, are you kidding? Wait. So who was adopted? I mean, I'm jumping ahead, but who was adopted?
My father.
Oh, your dad. Oh, because I saw it and I said, oh, okay.
Yeah, see. So my last name is Chunn because my grandmother, she wasn't a hoochie. She was a hoochie. Dudes kept marrying. And so this dude, Chunn, my grandmother was pregnant with my father. And back in those days, she was the Scarlet Woman, Anyway, she got pregnant with my father by my grandfather, Thomas Lake. And so they didn't get married. He used to send for her, and she would take a train from Detroit back to New York back in those days. And she got pregnant, but they didn't get married. So Mr. Chunn was the butcher at the grocery store that she used to frequent on Hastings Street back in Detroit years ago. There was a black community called Hastings.
Okay.
And Chunn was the butcher there. And so Chunn married her and adopted my father. And Chunn was part Native American. See, people, because we're brainwashed, because, America is racist.
Of course.
Think it's Asian. But Chunn is spelled Chunn, and it's Native American, actually. But I play with it in my show like it's Asian.
Right.
But it's actually Native. Okay,
nice. Wow. See, that's amazing. I was adopted, so that's why anything adopted, I'm like, yeah, that's me. That's my signal.
Yeah.
How do you think I got into comedy? So how do people react when you tell them what you do for a living?
It depends on who I tell,
Okay.
If you're a working comic and they see you regularly and you're making money, they go, oh, you made it, you the man. Right. But if you're not working, if you got a segment, a dry segment, you a bum. You a loser. You a comedian. That ain't funny. My daughter is the first one to tell me I'm not funny. I be like, that ain't funny. I'm like, I reach for the cereal.
Really?
Just for the cereal. She's like, well, Kevin Hart would have done that funnier. I'm like, I just woke up. What are you talking about? So if you balling, then they think great. The worst time to tell somebody what you do and that you're a comedian is on an airline flight, a long airline flight. That's the worst time to tell the people that you're a comedian. Especially them white folks that you meet on the plane that you would never meet in your life, but you're sitting next to them. And they go, what do you do for a living, Mr. Black Man? And I go, I'm a comedian. They go, oh, and so then they want to tell you
make me laugh.
Flight. So a lot of times when they ask me, I say I'm an electrician.
Okay.
If I feel like talking, if it's a cute chick or something, I'll tell her I'm a comedian. But if I don't feel like talking and I'm sleepy, I tell them, I build boats.
You're better. You're nicer than me, because then the first thing they do, they say, oh, so make me laugh. And I was like, look in the mirror.
Oh.
I don't like that.
I start sexually harassing them then. When they say make me laugh, I start grabbing body parts. No, I'm joking. But yeah, they always want you to make them laugh. They want you to do your whole act for them. And so sometimes being a comedian works. I've gotten privileges from being a comedian. I remember me and my wife were moving into a house in Spokane, and they were checking my qualifications and our background. And I told them I'm a comedian. And they said, well, what's your background? I said, HBO, Showtime, CBS.
Right.
And they were like, what? And they thought I was lying, right? Because it sounded like, I'm a crack dealer. So they looked me up, and they were like, wow. So the guy looked up my Comedy Central episode, and it was just like a working resume. Wow. And they watched it, and I cracked them up. And none of the bad stuff mattered on my credit report.
Wow.
They said, oh, you're funny. Yeah, he's good. You can move him in.
Wow.
So when you have a resume and you have YouTube videos and they can look you up,
right,
it helps a lot in a lot of areas, even outside of comedy.
Right.
Wow.
I can see that. that.
Yeah. No, it does help. Well, you always are bringing the funny and making other people laugh. So who makes you laugh?
Wow, that's a good point. Not a lot of people make me laugh. I mean, usually It's up to me to make everybody laugh. They're like, Tommy, be funny, be funny.
Your son seems to make you laugh.
My son makes me laugh a lot, and his mother used to make me laugh before we got married. But when we got married, she changed. And she turned into Kathy Bates. I like Kathy and Respucia.
Oh
He
my
said
God.
Emrys Busha.
Oh God.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it used to
you,
be fun. We used to do a lot of fun stuff, and jokes used to come to my shows. Now she mean it.
yeah, you
It was
know,
funny. All the jokes that I tell to get her, now she be mad. If I
Uh,
tell a bad joke, she'll call the police on me.
uh,
you know what I wanted to ask you, Tommy. Like, you have an amazing story, right? And I wanted to ask you this. You grew up in Detroit, right? Detroit is still rough now, but you grew up in Detroit at a time where it was even harder, you know.
Yeah.
How did you, because it seemed like you were the type of guy that had a miracle happen in your life. Growing up in a place that rough, how did you discover that you had the power to make people laugh? Because I've seen practically every one of your shows. You know, I know like a lot of your signature jokes, and I'm like, yo, this guy is comedy. You know what I'm saying? You're still
Well,
legendary, coming
it
from
was
a place
very
that
young.
rough.
My mom, when I was a kid, she used to put me in the Christmas plays. My mother was a teacher, and so she's a retired teacher now for the Detroit Board of Education. So you can imagine how hard that was for her to teach for the board. And
Yeah,
then she used to put me in plays when I was young. And then as I got older, it was just my mom was always negative. She was always depressing. She was always dissing my father and whatever. It was always negative, negative, negative. And there was just a lot of dysfunction going on and negativity. It was hard to find work back then, and the white people around. I mean, them people was racist. I didn't know how racist they was till I moved to California. You
oh wow.
wow.
And the people in California, they not as racist as the people in Michigan and
Wow.
other places. I live in the South now, so
Right.
really racist.
So you went from
I,
bad to worse. Now you
yeah,
just like
so
that. You just like to be abused.
my mother was just, I mean, she would be dating different dudes, and she'd be dating dudes talking about my father. I'm like, talk about this dude. You know what I mean? Anyway, so I was always trying to make everybody laugh. I was the youngest in the family, and my brother, my mother really was affected my brother. She really verbally abused us growing up. So my brother was the oldest one, so he caught it the worst. So he was on crack, for a long time. I mean, he was on crack for about 30 years, and a lot of it had to do with my mother, and she's constantly reinforcing this negative. All she talks about is brings up negative stuff. If you do something for her, she's gonna say the negative. Like I left a thermos for my mother in Detroit, a big cooler because her refrigerator was broken. And so she's like, "Oh, you left this because you couldn't fit it in your car on the way back home."
Wow.
Like, I
Wow.
left it to help you.
Wow.
Wow.
Whatever it is, she makes it negative.
Wow.
I
Wow.
mean, I just talked to her yesterday, and she had me yelling, and it's bad because she old now. But people try to play it off because she old,
Right.
and she been like that. They
Right.
say,
Right.
"Oh, your mama got dementia. She got dementia." I'm like, no, she got to mention. She got to this, and she got to mention that. That ain't dementia. That's got to mention.
That's
So,
great.
it's safe to say that your comedy was actually developed in your rough childhood as a survival technique, a
It was
survival mechanism.
a survival technique.
That
Yes.
is
A
amazing.
major survival technique. And I would, it was like channeling the rivers of verbal abuse,
Right.
into something. And whatever you do, and Detroit is like a hater town. They're gonna beat you down in Detroit. It's a hater town. They'd be like, Richard took a deep breath. Fuck his lungs. Chest
Uh
bust.
huh.
And they don't even know you. But
Right.
so many people say good things about you, they mad at you.
Right.
It's like,
Hmm.
hey, Tanya blinks her eyes today. Wow, fuck her eyelids. She hope her eyelids fall off and she stay up forever.
He said he stay up forever.
Wait. So I want to know something. So you've been around for a long time.
I'm sorry.
You've been all over. What like right now you're doing these little things or bits. But how do you get to practice when you're at your level?
Well, it's hard because Well, now since I live in Charlotte,
Mhm.
because I got married, that's a whole nother story. But when I was living in LA back in the day, I was living, eating, and breathing stand-up comedy. Even before I got to LA, when I was in Detroit back in those days, I had a mandate that I wanted to do stand-up and make a living doing stand-up.
Mhm.
And only do that. And this is before Def Comedy Jam. This was before Comic View. This was before all that. This is when the only platforms were white. And if you were black and a male comedian, you had to fit into the white format.
Okay.
So I would work at Chaplin's Comedy Club in Detroit, Mark Ridley's Comedy Club, and then there was a booker, John Yoder. He had a company called Funny Business, and so I would drive to the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. You know, Michigan is like the hands. Well, there's this part up here, and I would drive all
Right.
the way to that part up there, and it was like 7 hours. But I wanted to just make a living doing stand up, so I had to do white and black comedy.
Right. Just a little
Wow.
bit.
So I called myself Black and Forth. My comedy
I
was
saw
Black
that.
and Forth.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
So
Brilliant. Did,
and so it was basically like I would have to work white crowds and black crowds,
mhm.
and I learned the difference between white crowds and black crowds.
What's that?
Black people love performance. White people love wit. Now, black people enjoy wit too, and white people enjoy performance, but white people really love wit, and black people love performance. That's why with white people, you can just stand there and talk like this and tell your jokes. With
Yeah.
black people, you gotta
My
preach
boy
your
off.
comedy. You
Right.
gotta do a damn joke and a flip,
Right.
nigga.
Right.
You better joke. You know, because if you ain't sweating when you get off, nigga, you wasn't funny.
Right.
But if they see you up there crying and working hard and breaking your leg, that nigga funny right there. And so, and when I was coming up in Detroit, listen, this is the funny part. I was real black. I was edgy for the white clubs. I was pretty mainstream back then. I had the flat top, you know. I
Yeah.
looked like Carlton, but
I'm
but I
sorry.
still had that Detroit edge. So I
Right.
wasn't completely assimilated. Like I knew certain black comics, they only work white clubs. They only date white women.
Right.
And they work into that really well. And then
Right.
there were guys like me where I was black and forth, so I still had my black edge, but I wasn't the blackest country nigga. You know what I mean? I,
Yeah.
I was I was I was in the middle. You know what I mean? So when I would work white clubs, I would have to tone it down, and when I would work black clubs, I have to tone it up. I remember I did a show in Texas years ago, and it was a black comedy club. And I went on and did my show, and I was really professional. I'm Tommy Chunn, like fun. If you don't get it right, I got a gun, so you better run. I don't look Chinese because I've been out in the sun. If ask me if I have any credit, no, I have none. But I'm not of this body. I'm only using this body, which is to say I'm not just black mentally, but also pigmentally. So that
Right.
kills in white clubs. But I did that at the black club, and we did two shows that night. And the black lady, the owner, she was a black lady. She came up to me and said, "Tommy, you're really professional, and I really appreciate you, but you're a little too, you need to." And I said, "What you saying? You mean you want me to do all my jokes like this right here? You want me to do everything and on like Pug about to do that damn thing?" She said, "Exactly. Do all your jokes like that the
Oh
second."
my God, no.
So I'm figuring I'm clowning her. So I come out and
Right.
I'm talking all that, do that like that, boy,
Right.
and
Right.
I killed. I killed.
I
And I
know.
was like, wow, she was right. And I learned that comedy has a lot to do with delivery.
Yes.
Yeah.
Delivery. I can say the same joke
Mm-hmm.
and it won't be funny, but if I deliver it a different way,
Mm-hmm.
for
Right.
instance, like let's say I would say, you know, I ain't fat. I'm just swole. It's an allergy. I just need a big antihistamine. I need to do the fat or active fat. I can time release this.
Right.
But when I do a black crowd, I gotta say, I gotta be like, I ain't fat. I'm just swole. It's an allergy. I need a big antihistamine right there, boy. And I be like, oh, that nigga funny right now, boy.
Yeah.
Right now, you know that, boy? And so I learned because and it was a Southern black audience. And so I learned that the difference between funny and not funny is delivery sometimes.
Right.
Sometimes you
Yeah.
can say something and it's not really that witty,
Right.
But the way you deliver it,
Right, right.
Right. Your face. Right.
nah, it's funny.
This is brilliant. This is brilliant because you know who was brilliant at that. Just to let you know, Tommy, Tanya is a comedian, and Tanya is very funny even when she's not trying to be. But also,
Just be nice.
Red Fox had the ability to talk about Esther and Lamont
Yes.
in a casual way.
I do Red Fox.
I know, and you look like him too. You look like him with a tan.
That's it. That's what I was trying to tell Lamont. I said, Lamont, your mama was so fat, Lamont. She thought I loved it because when I come to bed, I'd roll toward her. You know what the worst thing? I do Red Fox. I say, you know what the worst thing about fucking a blow-up doll is? By the time you blow it up, you're too tired to fuck it. I just tired of hitting her arm off, fake bitch.
Oh my god.
So,
oh my gosh.
but yeah, Red Fox. It'd be like, one of his bits I love is when he said, he said, he was talking about Malcolm X, but he said, I ain't gonna stop eating pork to be with a group of people. They asked me, how you eat that pork, that swine? How do you eat that? I said, knife and fork, mashed potatoes, collard greens, black-eyed peas, peach cobbler, and a Diet Right cola.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that.
I think I remember that.
I had my hair was longer, and we're getting ready. We're shooting this part for Red Fox. I don't want to go into it, but we're getting ready to shoot it, but we had to stop, and so it keeps stopping and starting. So I cut my hair again because I go back on the road. Oh. But I'm in preparation to play Red Fox. Actually.
Really? Oh, awesome!
So I just lost like 30 pounds. I'm trying to lose weight because heavy set dude.
I am here for that because I was gonna say you should play him not just because you sound like him, but you would look like a darker like a tan version of him. Come on, are you kidding me? What?
And I'm tan right now because I've been out in the sun in this summer. But like 4 months ago, I was lighter because I get light and dark. Probably not like you. You black as hell all the time. But,
well, depends.
I don't want to know what I am.
Look, if you ask my chest, she tells a different story.
What are you? You like a frappuccino. You like a human barista.
There you go.
You like a mocha frapp. You like
I come in all colors.
In all colors. But he's like he's how I look when the summer starts. I'm about his color. By the time the summer ends, I'm you.
Why are you saying it like it's a problem or something?
I know you so black. You got a window ticket on a motorcycle. She's so black. At night, her kids be mad because they ain't got nobody to look up to.
Yo, it just comes out with
she's so black. When she eat Tootsie Rolls, she got to wear white gloves to keep her 2 fingers on.
Wait, if you think I'm black, you should see my grandma. She beautiful black. I mean black. Nigerian black.
I love black.
Nigerian black. Yeah.
Tanya,
you don't really understand how much you love black until you have sex with a real dark skinned women. Y'all them chocolate black women.
No, I've never done that one.
Yeah, well I have. I never had sex with a man either, but you know what I'm saying? That's what I say about because Hollywood is gay now. Like everything is gay, like Lil Nas. And if you act gay, the white people, you less threatening. If you like the brother that's like, okay, so yes, I'm from Detroit, and
wow.
White people, it's a lot of what they call a metrosexual acting comics. I know a few comics. I don't want to say their name, but it's some comics in LA that we all heard of, but they talk like this, and they're very okay. So,
well, one of the things I noticed about you, Tommy, is you're able to be funny. With it. I mean, it's funny because you do it in casual conversation. You do it on stage. You did it in the movie. I Got the Hookup, had me crying, and I was going to say to Tanya, you gotta hear Tommy do Ice Cube.
I was just gonna look at that, and I couldn't because of sound.
I'm sorry, I jumped ahead of you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I be doing.
Don't fire me, please, Tanya.
Ice Cube. I did Friday, then I did another Friday, and then I did another Friday. I might do the weekend.
That's
I was gonna do it Thursday, but I said fuck it then. But before I was a rapper, I was a gynecologist.
Oh no!
Did you imagine Ice Cube with the gynecologist Tanya, and you go in there and get the stuff check? He'd be like, "Yeah, girl, come on in." Gonna sit up on the
You
thing.
just you never know
All
what
right,
you
then I'm
never
gonna
know
need
what
you to
Tommy's gonna
scoop
do.
down. Yay. Damn,
That
Tanya,
No, and look, it,
everything ain't black. It's some pink in there, huh?
you just never. That's what made. I
no,
think
if
that's
he
what
was
made
my,
Tommy a great comedian.
it is. It is.
Unpredictable.
If
Unpredictable.
he was my GYN, I'd be like, I guess today's a good day. That's all. Yeah.
I know. I'd be like, damn, you've been eating too much yeast. You got a crescent roll in
You're
there.
horrible. That's bad. Uh oh. Now my grandson just walked in.
Oh, I'm
I'm like,
sorry.
Grandma, what yeast?
Tanya.
Got a
What
biscuit up
is
there.
that?
She had a crescent roll. You need to put more vegetables and meat. You need to put it on the Atkins diet.
Oh
Sorry.
my God, I can't. I can't. You're
But
hilarious.
you say, well, how come Tommy Chunn didn't go further? Because there was a time when Kevin Hart opened for me. There
Uh-huh.
was a time when Cat opened for me.
Really?
Mm,
Yeah, that's what you say. Really, nigga, your career is jacked up. And
no,
I told you because
but see,
I was handsome back then and good looking, and I was fire. And I learned the black on black thing. It's like I learned that there's a lot of competition.
Uh-huh.
And the same comics that were my friends on the road, when I moved to LA, it changed. And they turned, it changed. I thought dudes was my friend, but once they saw how funny I was, they started blocking.
Mm.
I done had
and
a lot of adversarial comedian relationships.
you know who said something similar? I'm sorry to cut it. When we talked to Gerald Kelly, right? I asked Gerald Kelly about his situation when being the first guy to take his sons on tour, and I said, why isn't that promoted more? And he said something to the effect of what you're saying. He said the culture is contagious.
Mm.
That's the terminology he used. He said there's people that can help you that won't. And I didn't know comedians. See, I grew up in the Tupac Biggie era where rappers were beefing. I didn't know comedians went through that.
Listen, there's a very prominent Detroit comedian that everybody knows, and he's in Detroit right now. Well, we were best friends back in the day.
Mhm.
And I went out my way. I helped this dude a lot. Anyway, there was a time when I was on Star Search. And
Mhm.
I guess he was jealous that I was on Star Search. But I won the first round. Man, that dude texted me 30 times. He called me and texted me 30 times. I hadn't talked to this cat in about a year and a half, 2 years. But when I won that first round on Star Search, this dude texted me and called me 30 times. I didn't get the texts because I was on CBS Lot. And all the airwaves on CBS Lot, it blocks Texas till you leave the lot. Then your Texas start going off because of the radio waves and the signals. It blocks your phone, at least
Mm.
back then. So the
Wow.
next round, I lost on Star Search. I lost the next round.
Mm.
This same comic who was supposed to be my best friend,
Mm.
this brother called me up and told me he called me up drunk and told me your career is over and started dissing me. He kicking me while I'm down. And this brother has had a pattern of doing that to me over the years. He the same brother that came to stay with me in my apartment in LA. When he shot his BET half hour, I drove him to the studio and waited on him all day and did everything for him. But do he help me back? No.
Mm. Mm-mm. Well, you know
And
what?
staying with me, he actually said, "Do I owe you anything?" And I'm like, "Wow, nigga, really?" So I'm
Wow.
like, I thought you owed me friendship or some sort of loyalty, but since you're saying that, you don't owe me nothing. You know what I mean? Like, but I realize who you are now.
Right.
But the dude
Exactly.
had a pattern, and I would keep forgiving him and keep forgiving him because I loved him.
Right.
Keep forgiving. When you do the quintessential black thing, the positive black thing, you support your brothers. See, we were friends before we were comedians. So
Right.
it didn't matter if he was funnier than me one night on stage or I was funny. I always would love him. It didn't matter to me.
Right.
But to him, it did because he had to beat me in the game.
No, that's
And,
not.
and our relationship got ruined because of his competitive bullshit. And there's a lot of that. I got a lot of comedians who I was friends with, and we don't even talk no more because of competition. And
Wow.
and I was always positive and helping people, letting
Right.
them stay at my apartment in LA,
Right.
driving them around in my Jeep. I drove them around in my Jeep in Detroit, and I drove my Jeep to LA, and I drove them around out there. But the whole thing is when they don't need me for nothing, then or they feel like
Mm.
I done fell off and that they can't use me for nothing else.
Right. Right.
Then it turns into, well, fuck Tommy Chunn. Like, but I've done all this shit for him for years.
Right.
It's comics right now in the game that if I hadn't have been there for them, they wouldn't even be comics today. There's some niggas that done passed me up in the game. But do they help me? No. It's another prominent Detroit comedian who was living in LA, but at the time he was living with this female comedian. And Hope, I think her name was Hope. And so basically he would have to have sex with her to stay there. But he got tired of having sex with her, so he called me. Tommy Chunn, I gotta get out of here. I don't wanna fuck her no more. So I went and picked him up and brought him over to my place. He stayed with me for like 2 weeks. And I looked out for the cat. Has he done anything to help me since then? No. It's cats that block me. You know, I mean, it's a trip.
Yes.
The way Hollywood is it's very cliquish in Hollywood.
Yes.
So let's say you get mad at Richard, and me and you know each other, then you want me to cut Richard off too, even though Richard never done nothing to me.
Right.
If I don't cut him off too, then
Right.
you gonna cut me off. So you gotta hate who they hate and love who they love.
Well, here's the thing about that though, and I lived out in LA for a minute in the 80s and I hated it. I couldn't stand it. I couldn't do it. Even the black people out there was like, everybody's whacked out. Something's wrong with them. I don't know what's wrong with them, but something's wrong with all of them. I just couldn't do it. But
Could it be
like,
Satan?
my
Could it be Satan?
Lucifer Spawn, exactly.
Well, when I got out there, I was positive. See, what got me to do comedy was my heart. I always had an open heart, loving, positive. I always wanted to be a part of the solution and not a part of the problem.
That's where I'm at. That's how I feel.
And that's always who I've been. But that's not who other people are, you know? And they'll pretend to be that, but once you arrive, then it flips, you know? And I had a lot of people hate on me. When I made a breakthrough when I did Master P, I got the Hook Up Comedy Jam.
Yes.
That's where I did the retarded. I played the retarded gangster. He had a delayed laugh, and he laughed like a fire engine.
I remember you did that on stage.
I remember that.
Right. I used to do it
You remember
on
that,
stage.
right, Tanya?
Yes. It was
And I used to do the joke on stage, then I expanded it and made it a character in the movie I got to hook up.
Wow.
And I did it so well, people thought I was a retarded actor who got hired. Because I was
I'm sorry,
doing
it's just the way you said it.
all the time. I'm a say cap in your ass. and I remember my daughter's mother. She worked with group homes and handicapped people and retarded people and all that. And I used to go to her homes with her. So eventually, you know, she brought some of the handicapped people, cerebral palsy and the mongoloids and the retarded people to my show. So they were sitting in the audience with everybody else. And so it's kind of touchy because you got my man right here. And people looking around, but you know, you don't want to laugh at them because they're special. But this dude had a delayed laugh and it sounded like a fire engine. So every time I tell a joke, everybody laugh, ha 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 ha. We have to wait for my man. And he comes from out of nowhere.
I remember you did that on stage. I remember that.
So that right there, and so it became a pattern. So every time I say something like that, he goes, So you talking about niggas crying, trying not to laugh. The whole audience, we would stop, and I wouldn't even look at him. I'd look over here because I didn't want to see him. But he into my peripheral vision. So I took that and expanded it when they told me that it was when I read for the part of Dooley and I got the hookup. I was in hookup 1. I'm not in. I got the hookup 2. They didn't hire.
I never even saw part 2.
There you go. But yeah. Well, I guess his son did that, and they hired everybody but me. I've been included out of a lot of stuff, and I don't know what that is. My father says it's my spirit. He says when you have a good spirit and people have a dark spirit, you make them uneasy. And because I was telling him, I was calling not dark skin. I mean your spirit.
Tanya, I saw
so your spirit is black as hell.
Tanya was making me laugh.
Her
and I was
spirit
trying
got a
not
black
to.
ass afro.
Tanya,
I didn't know
Tanya,
spirit.
I seen
I
what
didn't know your
Tanya
spirit
did.
racist.
I seen what she did, and I was trying not to laugh. I was like, Tanya's about to make me laugh.
Like,
Well, go ahead, Tanya. I'm
I'm
sorry. You
like,
were saying
yeah,
something,
right.
Tanya?
Because you
No,
right, Tanya.
no. Here's the thing. So Maya Angelou, I believe it was, that said that when people show you who they are, believe them. That's one. And two is, I think that people like yourself, because I'm one of the, all three of us actually are like that, where we have good souls and we think everybody's gonna do the right thing. They're gonna come back. Oh yeah, and they don't. So here's what I do now. I don't even care and I don't even acknowledge it. I just do me and try to still be a kind person and do what I still help people, even though I know they're just stealing my information from me. I've had people literally say, "Oh, let me do this," and then they go on their own and they be like, they don't even say thank you. Help people write books, all kinds of stuff. But you
Listen,
know what?
I work
Don't
with
even
comedians
care.
all the time, and recently I worked with a comic. And this comic, I work with a comedian for the weekend. And let's say you work with a comic and you do 5 shows with that same comic. You do Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, whatever, after the first few shows, the comics that's opening for me, they start doing my material. They start doing my jokes before I come on. They see me do a concept on stage that they wasn't even doing. And now I gotta follow myself. I gotta go on and follow myself. I gotta have a second set of material. Like I gotta have 2 shows. I remember one time I did a show in California, and my daughter came to the show, and the comedian did my joke right before me. And my daughter was like, "Dad, that's your joke." And I was telling her that's how the game is. He know that's my joke, and he know I'm sitting there. But he gonna do my material before I go. I had this routine when I come out on stage years ago. I'd be like, how y'all doing up in this bitch? How
I
y'all
remember.
doing in this bitch? Up in this bitch? How y'all doing up in this bitch?
Right,
That's
that's
my
fine.
trademark. People know me. And
Right.
then I do a thing where I say, what if all the Motown singers put bitch in their songs? They had to sing bitch. The tears of a bitch when there's love. I would do all these songs. Like, I go friends in the six, ready to the bed in the grass before you get there. You get I can dig it, we can dig it. Anyway, I had an LA comic. We on the same show at the Comedy Store. He come out and do my routine before me.
How do you do that? How do you get
Wow.
away with
But
that?
that's happened to
But
Tanya,
listen,
right? Tanya,
he
didn't that
Yes,
happen to
changes
I
you
had
the
one
someone.
time?
songs,
I had
but he
someone
does
bigger.
the whole
Yeah.
routine.
Yeah. Oh no, they took mine after at Gotham Comedy Club.
And I come up right after him and do my fucking joke again. Like, nigga, please. And his point was to say that's not original. Anybody can do that.
Oh, that's what he was trying to do.
But
Why
it's
would
like,
he
who
do
made you
that?
the comedy police, you little weird motherfucker? Don't tell to steal my jokes to try to prove a point, nigga. You not as funny as me. But the comedian is more politically connected to me. See, when I was coming up in Detroit, it was all about blowing up stages. It was about making people laugh.
Right.
You're dealing with middle class, working class people in Detroit. When you go to Hollywood, it's a different audience.
Yes.
The audience is made up of some regular people,
Right.
but it'd be a lot of industry people in the audience. It'd be a lot of
Mm.
actors
Right.
and lighting and people who work in the industry. You feel me?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then the people from the hood who come to LA, they're like the regular audience, but they see all the top comedians all the time. So it's a
Right.
different approach. So in LA, it's more about your point of view and your persona. Like, who are you on stage? How do you come off? Like, it's not so much about your jokes because they've heard every joke and they'll steal your jokes.
Mm-hmm.
Listen,
Mm-hmm.
Tiffany Haddish used to come to my apartment when she was homeless. I'd take her to lunch. We smoked weed and everything. That nigga don't answer my texts at all now. It's like I don't even exist, nigga. Like she never knew me. And I know she think I want something, but it's like, nigga, I never asked Tiffany for nothing. At least not money wise. But but do I hear from her? She don't even respond to my messengers.
Yeah, but listen,
And
that's
if
the
I
thing.
see her, hold up. If I see her in LA, she know who the fuck I am. And I told her that's breaking my heart, Tiffany, that you're not responding. But there's 2 sides to that. One side is, I'm sure everybody's asking her for something now. Everybody's coming at her like that. So it's
Yeah.
like, fuck everybody. Then a lot of the people that hate on you when you blow up are black. A lot of the white folks, they don't do it like that, but we do. So she probably is just putting me in the pool with everybody else. I
Mhm.
can't even tell her congratulations. You know, we was on a sketch comedy show together at the Laugh Factory. I got her on shows, put her on shows when I was the man and I was hot. But do that nigga respond to me at all? No. Nigga, Dave Chappelle responds to me,
Wow.
and
Wow.
she don't.
Wow.
If I see Martin will stop and talk to me for an hour.
Right.
But she too good for to talk to me now.
Right.
Wow.
And I'm pissed off about it. It's like, hey, Tiff, you don't remember when we were cool?
Right.
Right.
But now somebody done told her something negative about Tommy Chunn or something,
Right.
and now I'm the worst guy on the planet, or she's too good for me.
Mm.
And I'm like, you know, as a time when I wanted to hit it, sure. But that's not what I was calling her for. She's already, you dating Common now. I'm just saying, hey.
Nobody really.
Or
Right.
maybe she
What
is,
was
and that's uncommon.
right?
Huh?
Right. Was.
My point is, if I call Capone, he'll talk to me. If I talk to Dave Chappelle, he remembers me. I mean, I can go on and on. Talent, Cat Williams. I hadn't talked to Cat in years, and Cat had started treating me weird. But the nigga took me on tour with him to Vegas and paid me a nice chunk of change.
Right.
Now, Cat is bipolar, so one minute he'll be nice, next minute he's slapping the blunt out your hand. That nigga crazy, but he did give me respect, and he put some money in my pocket.
Right. Right.
Cat Williams can acknowledge me, and who else? Bernie Mac can acknowledge me. Who else? Who else? Martin, Dave Chappelle. But what's that shit about? There was a time when the Big Leslie, we were friends, and I had an after hours comedy night in LA called The Good Hood, and I hired her. I would pay her whether we canceled the show or not. But then niggas don't know me no more. They too good for me now.
Mm.
Mm.
See, you're better
Yeah.
than me because I mean, we all run into those type of people. But I now no longer. Maybe it's my age. I'm over 50. I don't care because I feel like this. Everybody who took the elevator up must take it back down.
Hey, you know what? And
Ooh.
maybe people
Ooh.
do things that
I
I
like that.
wouldn't do to make it. You know, when you count other people's success and you count their money, you can't do that because maybe they did something. I mean, there was a time when, me and Leslie were tight and we used to kick it and hang out. I even think she was a little attracted to me. I never hit it, but now
Mhm.
she's married to that white chick from Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, I
Oh,
remember you was telling
Leslie
me
is
that.
married
I
to that
didn't know that
white
at
chick
all.
from Saturday Night Live. The Verizon white chick.
right. I
The
know.
one
Yeah,
that
no,
kept
I
on with
remember we was
Saturday.
talking about that. I didn't know that
yeah,
until you
that they
told me.
married now. So
Yeah.
that's a whole nother league to me because I'm not gonna do nothing gay to make it. Like, but maybe she was already. This is my thing. If you openly gay, I don't have a problem with you. If you say you gay and you act gay or you people know you
Exactly. I
gay,
don't
I
mind.
ain't got a problem with you.
Right.
There's some niggas that be sneaking on me. There's
Right.
niggas that come up and wanna correct. Hey, Tommy Chunn, and I'm
Hmm.
like, nigga, don't caress me. I done had niggas do that where they come up and go, hey, Tommy, what's up, dog? And I'm like, hey, and I've
Hmm.
had niggas on the low try to hit on me. I remember one time I had this one promoter in LA. He brought all these chicks to the comedy store with him, and the chicks were hitting on me. So I got in the limo with them, and one of the chicks started giving me head in the limo. This is the first time I had ever got head in front of anybody. So it's like 5 women in the limo and 2 dudes. It's an African dude at the other end, and my boy, he's sitting right here, and all the other women are right there, and the chick is giving me head. This is LA story. And so I'm getting head, and it's getting good, right? I mean, she's sucking a bicycle seat. You feel me? I wasn't going with the wind, I was going with the wind. So listen. So all of a sudden, I feel this other hand rubbing my thigh.
Right.
And I'm thinking it's another chick about to double team me. My fantasy is about to happen. Nigga, I look down and I see a watch and a cufflink.
Oh my God. No.
And this nigga rubbing my thigh while she giving me head. My dick balled up like a hockey puck. And I'm like, oh, he ain't watching her suck my dick. He watching my dick get sucked. So the point is people reveal themselves. So I'm like, dude, I'm never going to be gay for you.
Right.
I remember another dude hit on me in LA, and I
Mhm.
told him, man, I like, he used to sell, he sold weed, and we used to play chess. But I didn't know he was, so eventually it came out. But he had a lot of beautiful women at his apartment all the time, and he was always respectful. Till there's one time the nigga caressed me, and I was like, dog, don't do that. And he said, I said, I ain't gay. He said, well, you don't really know if you gay
Mm-mm.
until you try.
No, he
I
didn't.
said, well, by the time I find out, I'm going to beat your ass. I know that. I said, I bet by the time we find out, I'm gonna fuck you up. So don't caress me, dog. I'm not gay. I will never be gay. And there was a point where dudes used to hit on me. I guess I was really cute back then.
Yes, anybody popular with some coins is extra
But
cute.
let me tell you something. Here's the thing
What you
about
say, Tanya?
it. I love making people laugh. And my
You're
biggest
great at it.
I think my biggest legacy to my career
Mm-hmm.
is how many people I have influenced.
Mm,
I'm not a millionaire. I
I
should
could
be.
see that.
I
right.
should be. I should have as much money as all of them. But
Mm,
Yeah.
I didn't make that my focus. Plus I had a daughter, and I would send money home, and I had a lot of relatives and issues. So I got kind of waylaid. But I would think to me my biggest attribute is all the people I've influenced, including
mm,
comics who don't give me the time of day.
mm,
But if you talk to them and you backtrack in their career, they'll tell you there was a time when
mm,
Tommy Chunn influenced them, and
mm.
I helped them,
I could
and I
see that.
guided them, and I nurtured them, and I gave them information, and
Right.
got shows, and did everything to help them, and they don't even talk to me now.
Wow, that's crazy. But I'm telling you, and I have a third eye that you can't see. It's back here. But
I got one
if
too.
you just wait, you got one. Well, if that's the case, I got a fourth eye. No, um, just wait.
Okay.
I say time is the best. How do you say the best? Time in your pockets is the best revenge because if you outlive them, whoever they are, I guarantee you, what God has for you, nobody can take from you. Nobody. I don't care what if they could say, nah, if you don't take them glasses off, you ain't gonna make bull crap. I don't believe there's such thing as competition. There's no such thing as competition because I can't be you. As much I can study you all day for 5 years, 10 years, whatever, all day. I will never be
You would
you.
never be me, but you can learn how I deliver my jokes, and you can emulate my whole style, which
Doesn't
a lot
matter.
of comedians in Detroit
But you
did.
know what?
Don't
You,
matter.
you know what, Tommy?
Nope.
Tanya is right.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I say she's right is because what you did in comedy, a lot more people appreciated it than I think even you know. Because when Tanya, who was very, very loyal and helpful, because Tanya known me for years, but when Tanya blessed me with this opportunity on her show, one of the first things I said is what I told you. I said, yo, I got to get Tommy Chunn. I got to get Tommy Chunn on the show because we remember, Tanya is a comedian, so she knows her history in comedy. And I was a fan. I tried comedy. Actually, Capone, he probably doesn't remember this, but he did a show with a friend of mine named Swin and another guy named Roberto. They had a show in New Rochelle, and Capone gave me a shot at comedy. And I was doing all right and almost bombed, so he stopped it before I bombed. But I think I told you about that. But I remember all the history of comedy, and you're in that history. You, Kenny Howell, Gerald Kelly, talent. So I said, yo, we gotta get Tommy
I
Chunn.
mean, I go back with them all. I was on tour with Bernie,
Mm-hmm. I
Royale
love
Watkins,
Bernie Mac.
been
Ah.
on tour. I've
Mm-hmm.
been on tour with Joe Torre.
Mm-hmm.
I've been on tour with Chris Tucker. I've been on tour with Faison.
Wow,
And
Faison.
me and Faison used to be best friends too. And he treat me like crap now. And you know, I remember I'll tell you a Faison story. We were at the comedy. He came by my apartment earlier that day, and I told him I got a date tonight. I'll meet you at the Comedy Act Theater in Leimert Park in,
Mm.
in, in LA. You know what I'm talking about, Tanya.
Yeah, yeah.
So we get there and it's about 8 o'clock, and Faison starts going, Tommy, what happened to that bitch? I thought you had some bitch coming. I guess she stood your ass up. Hey, nigga, I guess she ain't coming, nigga. Faison, And so I'm like, yeah, I guess not. So finally, she was late. So about 9:30, 10, the baddest woman, the most beautiful sister you can imagine walked in. Every dude was on her. And they were like, oh. And she was like, I'm here for Tommy Chunn. Is Tommy here? So
Uh,
now Faison is like, feel bad because she showed up. So
Mm-hmm.
he sat behind me at the table where all the comedians sit in the back of the room.
Mm-hmm.
The Comedy Act Theater is where Robin Harris used to perform.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
We sit in the back. Faison sits there. He gonna ruin my date. So he starts going, "Hey, you gonna get Tommy that pussy tonight? Hey, you gonna get Tommy that pussy tonight?"
No.
And I'm like, Faison, nigga, really? He like, man, I just want to see if she gonna get that pussy tonight. So finally, the chick turned around and said, "Hey, big worm, I know who you are, but you're being fucking rude. You don't need to do that." And he goes, "I'm sorry, baby. I just want to you gonna give Tommy that pussy tonight." And so me and her leave because I wanted to hit the nigga in the head with a hammer at that point. And so we leaving, and I go, "He just jealous because you so fine." And you know what she said? She said, "He not jealous of you. He jealous of me for being with you."
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, huh? And I never, but you know what? I would never be that cruel. I would never do nothing like that. Like, there were chicks who I would have sex with earlier. I'd be in LA and I'd meet her, we hang out all night. I sleep with the chick, take her home. Then later that night, I'd go to the Comedy Store and she'd be with another nigga.
Oh my God, no.
And I would pretend I didn't know her.
Wow.
Because that's how LA is.
I was just saying that's LA. Yeah.
So you don't want to put them on blast.
Yeah.
My point is, I would never do that to somebody. I would never be that cruel. And the reason I'm saying names, because there's some names I'm not going to say, but other names I'm going to say because these people were my friends and I loved them and they really abused me and broke my heart. And we old now. I'm 56 years old. So and everything is what it is. So what
Right.
they gonna do to me now?
Right.
People done blocked me already.
Mm-hmm.
So if I move ahead at this point, it's because of God and it's because of my talent.
That's it. And that's that is gonna happen. I see it.
Yeah, but Tanya and Richard, I've worked with everybody that's anybody from Michael Collier to name them.
Right, right. Well, what are you doing up to now? What's your
What
latest project going on?
is I'm married now.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
I live in Charlotte now. I got a new son, which you know.
Oh no.
And so I've been doing, clubs in the South.
Right.
I just did a pilot for a sitcom in
Okay.
Oakland. I am playing a grandfather. That's when I let my gray hair grow. I look like Rozo, but I cut it. But I play Terry Hodge. Terry Hodge is a comedian out of Oakland. He's got a sitcom, and I play his wife's father on the sitcom. And we just shot the pilot for that. And so that's coming up. And then I'm working in Oakland. Ernest East does a show in Oakland, which I'm gonna be doing in when is it? In the end of September. October 8th, I'm gonna be in Oakland.
Oh, that's when I'm back to New York.
Oh, October 8th. And then I'm gonna be in LA. I got a big show in LA with AJ Jamal. I don't know if you ever remember AJ Jamal.
Of course.
Yeah, AJ Jamal and this newer comedian. Her name is Roz Washington, and this comedian Barry Brewer is on the show. So that's coming up in October, and I got some shows in San Diego coming up. One is in Corona. I'm doing a show, another one in Temecula. So, and I got a show here coming up in Charlotte. So I've just been hitting the road. I recently did the Comedy Cabana in Myrtle Beach.
Okay.
And so people are calling me. I'm getting calls. I got something coming up in Detroit in November too. I got a call for, but they got to finish handling the business and giving me my deposit.
I hear you on that one.
Just doing that. I want to send a love out to my daughter in case she's watching this. Tanya Chunn. I was with her mom. Her mom's Armenian. So I was Kanye, Ray J, and Reggie Bush 31 years ago. Instead of baklava, her mama had black love. And so I want to send her some love. And then, I thought that was gonna be my only child. My kids are 29 years apart.
Wow.
So my daughter is 31. Wow. My child is 2 years old, 2.5 years old.
Wow.
So I got a young kid.
That's crazy. That's good though. I mean, to me, they just breed more youthfulness. You gotta stay on your toes.
Yeah, that's definitely keeps me on my toes, boy. Because
Yep.
His mama came home from the hospital because
Uh-huh.
my wife is 16 and a half years younger than me.
Okay.
So when she got pregnant, she had a C-section.
Hmm.
So that's major surgery, She heavy set and she overweight with a C-section. So I had to take her to the bathroom and wipe her ass and the baby ass. So I was like a track star nurse, and I'm 54 years old, running up and down the stairs, doing baby formula, doing her. I'm wiping her ass. You see this? You see this? Hold on, hold on.
Look at them guns.
That's a
Okay.
muscle. He's
Show
That's
me, show
okay.
me
He's
guns.
showing the muscle.
that was for me. I'm like
Right.
a human bidet.
Oh, he's funny too. He is.
You said, oh man.
Oh,
Wait.
man.
So Tommy, out of all that you've done, what has been the biggest highlight of your career so far?
Wow, that's hard. The biggest highlight of my career was probably doing a pilot with Jamie Foxx. I did a pilot with Jamie Foxx. It was called These Nuts.
Oh, wait. When was that? That was a while ago, right?
That was a while ago. It was like 2000,
Hmm.
2001. We did it with Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
And I shot the pilot and I got made good money for it. I was able to
Right.
get my daughter health care off that pilot.
Right.
That was one of the highlights is working with Jamie. He
Hmm.
put money in my pocket.
Hmm.
I don't hear from him no more, but
Uh,
there was a time.
and that's funny
Also,
because
Master P, working with Master P,
okay.
that was a highlight. That was one of the highlights. And I would say meeting Richard Pryor,
Right.
you know,
That's
Yeah, that's awesome.
that must have been amazing.
it
'Cause,
was. That was amazing to have him tell me. His wife came up to me and she said, Richard has followed your whole career. He's
wow.
watched you on Comic View, Def Jam. He loves
Really?
you.
That's
And
amazing. That's
he
awesome.
was already Parkinsoned out and he stood up out of his wheelchair. And I went up to him because she thought I was coming over to her and I passed her up and went to Richard. And she got mad because I gave Richard my love instead of her. I'm trying to get in with her, but
Right.
that's Richard Pryor. You feel me?
Right.
And
Yeah.
I'm black,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna
Hmm.
go shake Richard's hand. Richard told me, he said, "Man, you were awesome." He told me he was shaking. He was like, "Man, you the shit." But
Really?
Tommy's funny.
he was remixing
Yeah.
it. But yeah, that's
That's amazing. What about Bernie Mac?
and Bernie Mac. Let me tell you something. I was on the tour bus with Bernie.
Milky Cookie.
I've done about 20 shows with Bernie.
I love
I
it.
was on the Def Comedy Jam tour with Bernie, and Bernie was the host.
Mhm.
And I remember one show we did at the Chicago Theater on New Year's Eve.
Mhm.
It was hot. It was Adele Givens.
Mm.
Remember Adele?
Yes.
Of course.
Of course.
Of
It
course.
was Royale Watkins was on that show.
Royale.
Kid Capri, of course, was the DJ.
Mhm.
And I remember Bernie Mac came out and he introduced me, and he had on a bright yellow suit. You know how dark skinned people always wear bright colors, and so
Yes, I know.
black ass niggas they wear like bright yellow and green and red and shit.
Hmm.
He had on this banana yellow suit, and I said that nigga looked like a ripe banana. That nigga looked like an old banana. And he came out and bagged on me and said, "Oh, fuck you, you cat dick mother." Anyway, but that was fun bagging on Bernie and going back and forth. That was a highlight too. Being on the Def Comedy Jam tour bus.
Oh yeah,
Being
I
on
can
the tour
imagine.
bus. We
Ooh.
would be in Nebraska, right? And we'd
Mm.
stop and everybody go get fast food. I'd go get McDonald's, somebody go get Wendy's. Bernie would come back with rib tips. We'd be like, "How the hell you get rib tips, Bernie?"
I got some girls over here. That's what I
I
got.
get some motherfucking rib tip. I get a rib tip in Utah, nigga, from some Amish people make Bernie some barbecue.
I love his voice. He
Oh,
was
that's
so,
funny.
I tell you. He is. I love this. His voice, his tonation, his timing, everything, just amazing. But yeah, that's big.
And
That's really big.
yeah, so I've had a lot of like Hallmark. I remember I did a show. I did Evening at the Improv. I don't know if you remember that show with Bud Friedman on A&E. I've been doing this a
Yes.
long time.
Yes.
And
Yeah, I know. I've seen it.
Yeah, but Mickey Rooney, the old white actor from the old black
Yes,
and
I
white,
remember him.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
he introduced
Of course.
me. on Evening at the Improv, and that was kind of a highlight for me because I met him and I met William Shatner that night and a bunch
Wow.
of like really
Oh, you
like
did? William Shatner.
icons, huh?
Yeah.
Star
Mm-hmm.
Trek.
That's
Yes.
icons,
Beam me
yeah.
up, Scotty. I remember him. Yeah, that's
And here's another highlight of my career. When I did the Jamie Foxx pilot, I actually did a really sexy scene with Tyra Banks.
oh, Tyra, yeah.
Yeah, he brought her into the pilot. We were doing the pilot at the ranch, Warner Brothers Ranch, out in Burbank, out in the valley. And Tyra came in. We were already rehearsing, and Tyra came in, and there was this scene called Office Flirt, where Tyra would flirt with different people in the office, and once you'd hit on her, she'd blow the whistle on you and get you fired and take your position. And she kept doing that to all of us till she got to the boss. She tried to do it to him, but he was gay. And he flipped it on her, and she lost her job. So that was the sketch.
Wow.
But
That's
she
funny.
would do it to me. She was all over me, y'all. Like in the sketch, she'd be sitting on top of me. She would be like, "Can I get that above your head?" And she'd have her coochie in my face. She'd be sitting on my head. Then she spilled the water on her titties. And I mean, we were damn near having sex. Damn near. It got to the point where me and Tyra actually started taking me out. Like I said, because in the scene I say, well, hey, we should get together sometime and go out. And then she blows the whistle on me. But in real life, after we shot the sketch, she actually picked me up and we went out a few times till she called me at like midnight and my girlfriend answered the phone. And that just killed it. But me and my girlfriend were broken up. She just happened to come over that night. But my girl had broke up with me. She wouldn't give me no sex. And she had came over to get something of hers. But I was in the bathroom and I thought it was the homie on the phone. I told her, hit the voice, what's it called? Speakerphone. And they would say, "Hello, Tommy, this is Tyra." And she could hear it was Tyra Banks. You know what I'm saying?
No.
And let me tell you something. It blew her away to have Tyra calling me at booty call hours. After that phone hung up, my ex-girlfriend, she tried to suck the memory of that call out of me. She wouldn't have sex with me, but after Tyra called,
yes.
oh yeah.
Well, that's how women are. If they know that you have a come up, then they want just to be say that I went after that, which is really stupid, but whatever.
So that was a highlight in my life. I still have the tape of the pilot with me and Tyra Banks, and I told my friends that in Detroit, and they didn't believe me. So when I went to Detroit, I showed them the tape, and they were like, "Nigga, that is Tyra Banks, Tommy," and I was all over that. And I remember when we shot it, when we were doing.
Lost him for a second there. We'll be back. It's the lighting. Let's see. So we're about to wrap it up. Go ahead. There you go.
Anyway, she forgot her line, and so I had to ad lib. Anyway, the scene ended up going crazy, and I got Tyra bent over, and I'm pounding her in the scene, like, and they were like, "Nigga," and I'm like, so that was a highlight. But like I said, these people treat me like I never did comedy ever.
Wow.
So there have been times when I've been down and I felt like, what did I do wrong? Like, what did I do? Like, because I was the funniest one. I mean, I was one of the funniest dudes at one point, for sure.
Right. Yes, definitely. Yes, I remember you.
But a lot of things personal things in my life happened with my baby's mama, my daughter's mother. Mm-hmm. And then a lot of personal stuff. I had comedians that I loved from Detroit. Like one dude tried to jump me at the comedy. I've had a lot of people. I don't know. Maybe it was envy or jealousy, but it was. I got to the point where it really broke my heart that I had people hating on me. Now I understand they were doing that because I was doing something right. Right. But at that time, I took it to heart, and it kind of threw me off because I had a lot of people betraying me,
right,
and blocking me.
That's a sign of success.
I didn't realize that back then. And now I haven't been in the limelight for a long time. I haven't been on TV. The last TV show I did about 6 years ago with Gabriel Iglesias on Comedy Central. Y'all know Fluffy, the big fat Mexican guy?
Yes, Fluffy. I love Fluffy.
Well, I did his show on Comedy Central. And I was the only black male comic the whole season. I did the first season of Stand Up Revolution. And he never took me on tour with him. I don't know why. I must have said the wrong thing. I don't know. But a lot of people, I'm the guy a lot of people use for shit, and then they don't. Like I just had some people wanted me to do some show for them. I ain't gonna go into it.
Right.
But they got me a plane ticket, but they said if we get picked up, we'll pay you. And I'm like, well, nigga, I need to get paid now.
Right. Not if.
I killed it. And then the lady started asking me, was I on drugs? I'm like, no, bitch, I ain't on drugs.
What?
Yeah, she asked me, well, when we picked you up at the hotel, your eyes were so big, we wondering what was you on? What I was on was you told me my flight was canceled and I wasn't going to make it to my next gig. That's what the fuck I was on.
Right.
Wow.
People,
Wow.
you do something for people and they don't pay you back or whatever, acknowledge what you did for them, they got to find something wrong with you.
Right.
Mhm.
Well, I keep telling you, keep trudging on because what I told you, what God has for you, no man or woman can take from you. I don't care what anybody says. It never cannot take. It maybe, just maybe. You know, sometimes we look at things and we say, well, how come this happened to me, or why is this? But maybe there's a reason, because maybe you're gonna get an even bigger payoff. So just wait.
Maybe one day I will. Maybe we'll do this Red Fox and I'll blow up again.
There it is.
And then somebody else told me this. They said, Tommy, you might not have blew up back then because you might not have been able to handle what comes with that. And God might have been keeping you from something bad. Like sometimes when you think something is bad, sometimes it's something good. You just can't see the other side of it.
Yeah.
And somebody said you might have destroyed yourself back then.
Especially Hollywood, but you kidding me?
Just you might have had too much
sex.
And
too much anything. I know people that was out here in these streets when I was modeling, and they were with Wilhelmina, they were with the big agencies, whatever, because modeling, comedy, all the same thing, music, same thing, same hustle, same snakes, all the same thing. And I used to be like, well, how come this person that? And then I stopped. My mother was like, stop worrying about what everybody else is doing, because there's a reason why. Maybe he don't want you there yet. And then something happened to a friend of mine where she was sexually abused. And it jacked her up, and she became an addict. So there goes her 5 minutes of fame. It's gone, done. So maybe
I made it all the way to the precipice. I was right there. I did the pilot with Jamie Foxx. I had the guy who directs Friends. He was the director. I had Benny Bedina. They wanted to manage me and all this stuff. And I tore my ACL playing basketball, trying to lose weight because Jamie Foxx told me I was too fat. And so I hurt my leg, and then I had to choose between doing this showcase for creative with Steve Smoot and getting my surgery. And I asked my father, what do I do? And he said, what do you think you should do? What's the most important thing? I said, my leg is probably, at the time, I thought my health is more important than everything. Because I might get another chance to do Hollywood, but if my leg is messed up and I don't get it fixed, I'll be, So I got my leg fixed and I had to call him and cancel my showcase for creative. And this was Jamie Foxx's agent, by the way.
Right.
And so that was my big break, and I wasn't able to do it because I hurt my leg trying to lose weight, trying to play basketball, and I hurt my leg. So, and after that, I didn't hear from him no more, him or Marcus King. And I eventually got my leg fixed, but they punished me for that. And so that's just how it works, I guess,
Yeah, that's it. And that's all.
But I got my leg fixed.
You got your leg fixed, and guess what? Because you can't do nothing without that leg. Well, you could, but then you'll sound like one of the people you'd be playing. So I'm just saying.
Well, somebody said, well, you could have went and did the showcase with your leg, because my leg was in a cast and I was a stand-up who couldn't stand up.
Right. Sit down, stand up.
Yeah. So I'm in a cast, and who knows? Maybe they would have. Maybe if I'd have went there like that, maybe they would have gave me a deal, and I don't know. But
It's
I
all
ended up getting surgery instead, and it hindered me.
Right. Well, things happen for a reason, is what I say. But either way, I appreciate you. We appreciate you so much for taking the time to come here today. I know you're busy, and I know you got other things to do. And you out in Charlotte. Wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I got married. I ended up getting married. And when I met my wife, she worked for Jenny Craig, and she was gaining weight. I'm like, you must be good at math.
I can't. Well, it was a pleasure, man.
Yes.
The last thing I would like to say, if it's okay, Tanya, is that Tommy, keep on pushing. none of your stuff was in vain because you still got people that love you.
Yes.
And perhaps it was a blessing in disguise because sometimes God can see things that we can't.
That's true.
And then also you get to learn people because what I learned is that people are so in love, like Tanya said, there's really no need for competition because people are so in love with trying to outdo another person that they don't actually learn how to be. You know what I'm saying? Like we're so in love with having disagreements with each other that we don't know how to have a healthy agreement. And it's impacting an entire race and entire generation. So I just thank you for coming on the show. It was a great pleasure.
Well, thank you for having me, guys. Thank you for
Yes.
remembering me.
Thank you
for enjoying my comedy and acknowledging.
Yes.
Thank you for laughing.
Yes.
And Richard, man, thanks for that conversation we had the other day, man.
Yes. Yeah. Let us know when you when your next project comes out. Please let us know, especially that red box. We waiting for that.
Yeah, they keep having problems with it.
I'm gonna be in contact with you.
Huh? Would you say, Rich?
Yeah.
So you're gonna be in contact.
No. I was saying. Yeah. No, I was just saying we're definitely gonna stay in contact with you, and we're rooting for you.
Yes.
Well, thank you. And I'm supposed to be coming up to Jersey to do a show with Bob and Reggie Sumner. They gonna book me up there. So whenever you hear I'm up in the New York area, come out, Rich.
Yeah.
And Tanya, where you live, Tanya? You live in New York?
I'm in Westchester County. I'm about depends on what part of Jersey, hour, 2 hours away. Westchester, 45 minutes from New York City.
Yeah.
Right now I'm in London. Right now I'm in London.
I know you in London. She keeps saying that. I'm in London. Right now I'm in London. I'm balling. I'm in London. And my daughter.
I'm in London. I'm by the Big Ben. The Big Ben.
Are you in Brixton or are you in?
No, Brixton. Just Notting Hill area.
Oh, Notting Hill.
Notting Hill. Yes, exactly. Yes.
Yes.
I must say it correctly now with my T.
Yeah. They got black people in Rochester and where'd you say?
That's funny you say that, Rochester. That's really my last name.
Oh, your last name is
Rochester.
Your last name is really Rochester?
Yes,
so
it's
your
Cooper Rochester.
Is Cooper. You got married and that's your married name?
No, it's a long story short. That's my stepfather's name, I was not his kid, but I got his name, and I'm really born in Rochester. Long story. I was a foster kid. I do my set about that.
Oh, okay. Cool. Yeah.
It's a long story. One day you'll hear something of mine.
Yeah, that's like me. I tell them I'm black, but my credit is Asian. We had shrimp fry, sweet and sour neck bones, orange chitlins.
You're making me hungry.
Wow.
You're making me hungry.
For my sister.
Yo, it was great being on here with you.
Yes. It was awesome seeing you, and we appreciate you so much. Please let us know when you are going to be doing whatever you're doing so that we know and we can tell our audience, okay?
All right. Well, I locked y'all in my phone. Y'all's contacts. I put y'all in my phone.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay.
And we'll lock you in too. All right, Tommy?
And keep doing what you're doing, Rich. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Yes. And I appreciate you, both of y'all, you and Tanya. If it wasn't for Tanya, I wouldn't be here doing this. So I thank y'all both. And I thank you for the inspiration, Tommy.
Well, I appreciate being able to give it to you, man.
I thank you.
That was all I was about, was inspiring people, trying to be positive, trying to make it over the hump. And it's good to know after all these years that I haven't been on TV, y'all still remember me.
Of course. How are we gonna come on now? Please. I remember ain't that short.
Like
it's short, it's getting short.
If we had time, if we had time. Yeah.
Let me tell you something. There's a lot of people that I've been around.
I'll tell you all the signature jokes that I remember, but I gotta run.
And they act like
I'll
they
see y'all later.
Me.
Okay. Oh, Rich, you got to run. All right, so guys, thank you so much, Tommy. You're the best. Thank you, Rich. And to our audience, please like and share this video, please, and go check out Tommy Chunn on all his Instagram page, all the social media page. Check him out. All right, and thank you again. Bye.